can't sleep, trapped in my own mind. Anxiety. Drowning in the darkness, just can't see the light. Depression. Doubtful, insecure, can I really do this? Imposter syndrome. I'm alone, unloved, just feel invisible. That's loneliness. We're not therapists, but we need one.
Hello, and welcome to We're Not Therapists, but we need one.
The podcast where we have honest and vulnerable conversations about our mental health with one another.
I'm Jay,
And I'm Anthony, and neither of us are therapists.
but we're trying to help ourselves and each other by sharing our experiences and feelings.
In this show, we'll deep dive into topics like anxiety, depression,
Self-esteem, trauma, and more.
we'll talk about how they affect us,
How we cope.
and what we've learned along the way.
We're not doing this to bash or blame anyone.
Especially our families, who may have contributed to our mental health challenges,
We're doing this to heal and grow.
and hopefully inspire others who can relate and open your mind to your own healing.
We also want to warn you that this show may contain some sensitive and triggering content.
We'll be talking about personal and painful things that happen to us and how they still affect us to this day.
If you're not comfortable with that, or if you feel like you need professional help,
This show may not be for you, but
if you're ready to join us on this journey of self-discovery and self-improvement, we're glad to have you.
we're not experts, but we're honest and we're not alone. Now, let's start the timer. Jay, how do you feel today?
Well, I think I'm still good.
Well, it's only been seconds since the
It's only been
episode.
seconds since we stopped recording and restarted. My cookies are chilling a little bit, and I'm gonna wait for the oven to heat, and then I guess I'll whip them up really fast.
Come on.
I just gotta remember what the oven is. Oh, 350. Never mind. Do I have any cats or anything in there? Make sure I don't burn anything or cook anyone.
Well, if you got a cat or two, I think it's going to turn out okay.
Ah, shit. You know what? I'll just I have some rotisserie chicken in here, and I'll just divide it up for my meals.
Oh, hell yeah. It's kind of what I'm working on right now is, of course, meal prep. Same thing I was doing last week.
Man, last week you watched me split up my dog's food and make cookies, and this week you're gonna watch me meal prep and finish making cookies.
I wish
You know-
my dog would get out of the way. He's standing right under me, which he does every time I cook, because he knows I'm going to drop something.
Oh, if I moved my camera, actually, you know what? For everyone watching, I will. I hope I don't regret this. I'm going to shift my camera just a bit. And maybe you can see what is beneath me.
Aww.
Reggie. There he is. He's such a cute little baby. Oh, God, I just fucked it up. Oh, God.
You did regret it.
I did.
But yeah, I think last week when we left off, we were talking a little bit about mental health medications.
Oh, yeah, because my Wellbutrin does wonderful, and you get sexual side effects from yours. And honestly, I wouldn't know. It's actually been so long since I've had sex. I don't know what side effects I have anymore. I realized a long while back that using apps and things like that were a form of validation for me, and I didn't end up feeling like hooking up and things like that was healthy for me anymore. So I stopped and I got off the apps, and I didn't realize how detrimental that is to your activity level. But I don't know. I felt I was making choices healthy for me, so
I would say that you did.
I feel a lot happier with myself. So I don't feel like I'm trying to chase the need to, I don't know, have attention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense. I don't know that I do the apps for sex. It's not a thing for me. I don't enjoy it as much. I really enjoy sex, of course, with my significant other, my husband, but also with people that we know.
Yeah.
But I also, and they're more understanding than other people would be as well about, sexual side effects, but it's not about them as much as it's about me and my enjoyment.
Right.
And so, like, while I know people are going to be accepting, I also would still, like to have a good, healthy sex life.
Yeah, I should probably get back into that. I sometimes think about it, but I don't know how I want to go about it. It's my other problem.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's been so long since I've had to actually dig or do any of that I don't really have a recommendation.
You what?
I said it's been so long since I've had to date or do any of that I don't really have a recommendation.
Oh no, yeah, I mean I'm not looking for any, but still it's just I don't know. It's just I'm definitely in this weird position of my life in that point. But in general, I like it's interesting to not be active like that and still feel really good about myself. So I mean that right there makes me go, "Oh, your mental health is doing well."
Well, I mean, for a lot of people, sex is a validating thing, but sex can be validating in a really good way, or sex can be validating in a really bad way.
Yeah. And I feel like unfortunately a lot of the gay oh Jesus. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the gay community actually utilizes it in a bad way, and I don't think a lot of people actually know it.
No, and I agree with that. I think that a lot of people are not aware that they're using sex in such a way that it's for them to feel like they're wanted.
Yeah. And they're like, "Oh no, I don't care. I like that." But like I just feel like the ones, not all of them. I'm not generalizing everyone into this, but I feel like a lot
generalize about men.
Gay men are all really great. Every single okay. If you guys have not listened or watched Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, the TV show, fantastic. You should look it up. Go watch it. It's only 4 seasons. Anyways, but it's interesting having conversations with some of them and kind of actually starting to make them go to the root cause and talk about it. And how they're just like they start to catch on that there is a little bit more depth to it than they really discover. And I feel bad that I'm like pointing it out, but then in another way, I hope it helps them in a sense where they're like, maybe I don't need this for my own good.
It's a sort of like catch-22 because you can tell people things with great intentions, but still come out of it in a way that like
I'm an asshole. Yeah.
that's not even that. I think people have to be ready to hear a message sometimes.
Yeah.
And
okay.
So
it's kind of like the same idea. I heard this story where it was on Tony and Ryan, my other favorite podcast. But it was a story how she was feeling herself and she decided to not wear a jacket that day and she was going with like a sleeveless little shirt. And her waitress said, "Oh, you should cut off of gluten. It will help your psoriasis." And it's like, I don't feel like what I'm doing is that aggressive, but
yeah, well that's unwarranted, and also that's the waitress.
Right? How to lower your tip 101.
Right, seriously.
But it kind of feels like a sense of that, but I don't know. Maybe I get too obsessed with the mental health side of things, and I'm like, I want you to help yourself. But I also just don't do it to anyone, to be fair.
Well, I think it also comes down to certain little things where you're never going to be able to convince certain people of certain things, right? Like,
right.
I'm never going to be able to, if somebody's stuck in a rut, they're going to have to really want to get themselves out of it.
Right. And it's not like, well, one, it's not like I ever have this conversation on a regular basis either. But I've definitely had it with a few people, and it's pretty interesting to see how eye-opening it can be to them.
Yeah. Well, I think again, it's always like dependent on the person. because I really enjoy sex, and it's very not necessarily looking for it for validation, but it's like what's the word I want to use? It's just a way for me to like engage with people that I know in a different way, I guess.
I mean, but it's also healthy in a sense because you're, what are you releasing? Endorphins, serotonin? What the fuck is it?
Do you want me to answer that question?
I don't remember which one.
I'm on SSRIs. I'm not releasing anything. Sorry.
There's nothing coming out of that.
Nothing happening there. But no, I think it is. I think it's serotonin that you get from it, which I mean, great. But I do find myself at times falling back into old habits because I used to think of sex as validation as well in a way that I needed. If people didn't want to have sex with me, I felt ugly.
Oh, yeah.
And at some point, I realized like there are people that I don't find ugly that I don't want to have sex with, but also that person's preferences are not my problem and not my business. Right? Like I was fully there, and I do find myself like falling back into that sometimes where
I mean,
I get like a little weird about it and I have to actively check myself.
It is interesting how how do I want to say it? How it's almost like, well, obviously, if I view you as somebody I want to have a sexual relationship with or something like that, then you should want it back with me. It's so easy to kind of get stuck in that thought process when you're kind of like, hey, you're not everyone else's type, and you may not be everyone else's personality type. Like me, I want to bond with people in a sense that I feel comfortable with them.
Yep.
And so I don't know, if I'm not comfortable with you, then I don't want to do it.
Well, I'm the same way. I've realized that there's a lot of times that I want that intimacy whenever I'm having sex, even if it's not with my partner. Like I want to have intimacy. I want that closeness.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to just do random sex. I mean, I've done it before, but the amount of times that I do it at this point in my life it's so minimal that I can't name the last time that I did it.
Yeah.
So I get that. I understand, because you don't know what everybody's preferences or what they're looking for in a sexual partner. Some people may just be asexual. Maybe they aren't really like, they may be asexual, aromantic. Maybe they're just not interested in anything.
Yeah. And that is okay.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. But God, I do remember a time in my life where I would have thought that was weird. I would have said, like, I would have tried to coach people through, you should want to have sex and you should want these things because I want these things.
Yeah.
And of course, I have learned a great deal since then.
It's so interesting so that's how I was raised. Basically, like, if I don't understand why you think or act one way, then I need to coach you into behaving how I think makes sense.
Yeah, the way that I think that you should act, which is what society expects of gay people and the trans community, just the queer community in general, where we get locked in these places that it's why people don't approve of our lifestyle, because they think we should be living in specific ways.
Yeah.
And it's wild to me to still find people who are inside the queer community who run into that as a mentality. Whenever people are living their lives in a way that is not harmful to anybody else, they're not actively out there hurting people, let them just live.
Yeah. But we definitely live in a state that heavily pushes that kind of agenda.
Oh, yeah. Which I will say that senator who is trying to get the gay marriage Supreme Court ruling overturned that's been on my mind a lot lately, because I told the 2 or 3 people in my family that I still do talk to after the election that if that were to happen under no uncertain terms, I would just be done with them.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just like, well, shit, I'm gonna have to follow through on that because but I meant it, and I still mean it, because it is such a sort of, I think, with family members who accept you for who you are but struggle to keep up with gay issues because they accept you and love you, but it isn't as important to them as keeping
Egg
their
prices.
political views. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Well, and the funny thing is like, their arguments are always stuff that I'm like, they don't, like my parents, they talk to me about all these things about how Trump's going to lower prices. And I'm like, well, nothing's lower right now. So why don't you vote for again?
When is that going to happen? And
Yeah.
didn't he just say that the working class is going to need to bear the brunt of it?
Also, on top of that, I saw that they are cutting Medicaid to accommodate tax breaks.
Whose tax breaks? My tax breaks?
Trump's tax breaks.
Yeah, who's getting those?
Ah, good question.
Yeah, who is receiving the tax breaks?
So I don't know. I'm not a person that gets wrapped up in I don't know. I always call it the smoke and mirror situation with these elections, because a Democrat could tell me all sorts of stuff all day, and I also don't believe it. Like, you have to show me you're capable of doing it, because a lot of politics is just talk.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that is very, very, very true.
And I think for people like us that actually use our brains, it's a little bit exhausting to see. I think it's kind of almost painful to watch people that we grew up with, that we put so much trust into and so much love into, even though they didn't always give it back to us, and watch them make extraordinarily selfish choices.
Yeah.
But then I also look back and I'm like, yeah, but this completely makes sense, because everything was, in a sense, always about you. You were always busy, so we had to entertain ourselves. We always had to have respect for you no matter what the situation was. You didn't have any obligation to justify or explain anything to us, because we were kids and dumb, and that was your opinion. And so it all kind of aligns. And it shows even as adulthood, and I don't put up with it like I used to.
Oh, I don't either. I've cut so many people out of my life and my family because of stuff like that. And it's because they have had my whole entire life, 40 full years of me existing on this planet, to show that they are interested in me in some way. And they just haven't. What they want is for me to show up to family events, and they want me to they want this facade of a family.
Oh,
but they don't want to invest in me as a person. And
yeah.
So I'm not going to do that, because respect is not inherently given to you. This is not how it works. I understand that was the mentality a lot of people had for a long time, is that you respect your elders, you respect your parents because they're your parents, but respect is a two-way street. That child that you birthed doesn't owe you anything from the time it's born just because you gave birth to it. It did not have a choice in the matter. You owe that child so much more than it ever owes you.
Right.
And I think there's always just been this mentality that that's not the case, that you should always acquiesce to these family members, to these people, because they're older and because one day they'll die and you'll miss them. And I got to tell you, that isn't true. One day those people will die and you may not miss them at all, or you may be like, good riddance. And it's not me being an asshole. It's just reality.
Well, for me, when they say, you're going to miss them and stuff like that, I'm like, what exactly am I going to miss? Um, for a long time, I was chasing the love of family members, and I quit doing that. And it's not like they've really chased it back. And so, what again am I missing? That's kind of my theory on the whole thing is as I'm self-reflecting so much in the last few years, I've had to basically raise myself a lot and take care of myself a lot. And whenever I lived out on my own, it suddenly turned into, oh gosh, my dog scared me. It definitely turned more into, I had to do that even harder. Like I didn't have the security to come back me up. Hell, I just had one of the conversations today explaining why I keep two bank accounts on a regular basis. And I said, my theory is that they're both connected always to receiving money from direct deposit from my paycheck. One splits up and receives a little bit, and the rest of my other account receives it all. And my theory is that if that main account ever gets hit with some sort of theft, I can immediately switch my direct deposit to the other bank account. So that way I'm not impacted so heavily. And those are protections I've taken on myself because if shit happens to me, besides my money, I don't have somebody that's going to jump in and just be like, well, let me take care of this for you. Like a lot of people's parents would. I mean, I had a friend that happened to, which is what taught me to do that. And her parents, supplemented her because they could afford it.
Well, my parents would probably try to help, but they can't afford it. But
Ooh.
it's sort of like what you would describe with your parents, where would they expect something back? And I will say at this point in my parents' life, they have changed enough that I don't think that they would. Now, if you'd asked me that same question 10, 15 years ago, I don't know that the answer would be the same. But at this point in their lives, I think their mortality is impending to them. Like, I think it's really, they're at a stage in their life where they understand that they're going to die one day and they want to be better. And so I have noticed that with them. Granted, do they still drive me insane? Yes. But, some of the effort is there. And so for that, I will say I do still appreciate it. But I will also say, listeners, that just because people are putting in low amounts of effort doesn't mean that you still have to keep living your life.
Yeah, I was like, I definitely don't get that. I've definitely been told that my mom calls me every week, so that should be a sign that she wants to connect. And I said, I don't know, guys. I think it's more of a sign that she wants. It's almost an obligation. She thinks she needs to do it to prove that we're a close and healthy family still, because everything's about the image.
Yeah.
And I said, because it doesn't feel like we care about anything as long as it's stuff that's happy. It has to be happy news.
That is, I think it's the opposite for my mom and my family, where if she calls me, it's always going to be bad news. I will say the other day, she called me and was talking and talking like she usually does. So I was zoned out, and she stopped and she was like, tell me something good that happened to you today. And I was like, whoa, you want to know something that happened to me? Huh? What? So I don't know if that was her being like, cheer me up, or her being like, I'm genuinely interested, because those are two different things.
Yeah.
But it was still not a normal question. And so it did take me aback a little bit, but normally I get to hear about who all died. I get to hear about, all the stuff. But then I see what you're saying, because my parents would be like, I just wish we could get together as a family. I wish we could get together as a family. And I understand the sentiment, but I'm not going to subject myself to people because of the virtue of blood.
And again, I feel like it's all about it. I don't think they know exactly how to do it because mine wants the same thing. They're like, we just want the family to be together. And I'm like, yeah, but so I show up, we sit, we don't really talk much. And then we just like watch TV. I listen to you talk to Siri and ask for sports scores.
Ugh.
Like, what am I doing? Like, what about our family value is so interesting? And what are you trying to accomplish? Because, I got a lot of shit to do. And I can also go spend time with my friends who genuinely want to be with me and who want to have fun and who want to know about my life and see me do well and not,
to care about me.
yeah, and to genuinely care about me. And I think it all runs back to one time when I needed financial help or something like that. And I asked my parents, and they said, well, you can ask your friends that you're really close with down there because we're not going to keep helping you. And it's just like, what the fuck? And so it's things like that. Things like the time that I told them I was super duper unhappy at my job. And then I heard them talk behind my back about the idea that I would be so stupid to change jobs because I'm paid well. It's all those things that run in my head that I'm like, you don't really deserve my attention because I'm a good person and I offer a lot. And I just don't think you deserve that.
And honestly, more people should do that because you're 100% right. I don't think that I don't think you owe your parents anything. I think they'll probably gaslight you into thinking that you do. Um, but if that's how they're going to treat you, respect is always a two-way street. I mean, if they aren't going to respect you enough to treat you like a person, then why should you give them your time? And I also understand that, sometimes people will be like, well, what if they want to try? What if they want to make up? What if they want to, make amends? That's all good and well, but you're not obligated to forgive people just because they want forgiveness.
Yeah, but I'm
And
not going to sit in that hope that that's going to change one day for them
right,
because then I'm just living this life of, well, what if, you have to suck up so that way maybe they will meet you where you want to be met. And they're not an emotional group of people. And God forbid if you tell them something that may make them look bad or may make them question their own opinions and thought processes and behavior, because then I'm told that I have to apologize for hurting people's feelings. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you now, nobody does that for me ever. And do you know how many times I've had my feelings hurt and nobody ever says sorry from my family?
well, and that's just it, is that you are the outlier.
Yeah.
In that situation. And so you need to apologize because that's just their opinion. But when you express yours, um, and hurt their feelings, then all of a sudden you're the one who's attacked them, which if that doesn't scream conservatism, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
Because it's just so wild to me. And I've gotten very judicious about never apologizing for stuff like that.
Yeah.
My family does not expect it anymore.
I really stand up for myself now. I'm like, nope, you're not going to get an apology just because you didn't like my thoughts. I did not
Right.
come out and tell you that you're stupid. I did not come out and tell you that everything you think is bad. I came out and told you facts, and you didn't like them.
Right. Which, I mean, if you guys want me here and you want to have discussions and you want to talk about real things, then we'll talk about them. But if I talk about them and you're going to have a breakdown every time because it makes you feel bad, because it's about your opinions about other people, whereas what you're saying is an opinion about who I am as a person, those are two very different things.
Well, and a lot of people can't listen. Like, their first instinct is to be like, I have to prepare a defense because you have to know why I'm right.
That is utterly exhausting to talk to somebody like that too, because their whole time they're not listening to you. They're just in their head formulating defenses.
Yeah. And that is exactly what I grew up with. I remember arguing with mom and just constantly going in circles because looking back, I realized every argument with her was a situation of I made a point, and so she has to twist it so I'm still wrong in a way, and that her justification is right. And we would end up down a wild path. And in high school, I started going, how the fuck are we on this topic when we started talking about this? And so I really started kind of getting a little bit of control of bringing it back around and say, this is what we're discussing, and this is the problem I'm having. And then I started catching on more and more and started going, no, that's not the topic. I'm like, we can have that discussion if you want to. That's absolutely fine. We're not having it in this discussion.
It does drive me crazy that it almost always ends up in a agree to disagree situation.
It's just
once it goes to a place where they really have to start questioning themselves, that's where it's at.
And it's just so much work to sit there and justify myself. And I think that's another reason why is I'm like, I don't really want to have that much conversation with you is because I can't.
So this will be, since we're almost done with the episode, this will be my meal prep for the week. Will be several of these with a little bit of jasmine rice, some chicken, and a lot of roasted veggies.
Well, I just accidentally took my thumb in a cookie, but they're almost done.
Oh, hey.
Alexa, stop.
Just in time.
Just in time. So I have a couple more minutes on my cookies, I think.
Well, listeners, the takeaway from this today is just because they're family doesn't mean you're obligated to keep them around.
Also, you don't need validation from sex.
You don't. No. But you don't have to have sex just for validation. You could do it for funsies.
You could do it for funsies, and I support you.
And it's great. I support you too, and I'll be right there with you, possibly.
All
right. Bye, listeners.
Bye, everybody.
And we're out of time. Thank you for joining us today on our show. As you can see, therapy is not always easy, but it can be very rewarding and healing.
If you want to follow our journey and see how we progress, tune in next episode for the continuation of We're Not Therapists, but We Need One.
Join us on our socials, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, and Instagram, and email us at nopenotttherapists@gmail.com.
That's NOPENOTTHERAPISTS@gmail.com.
We would love to hear your thoughts on our journey, or any questions you have that we can help answer. Until then,
Stay safe.
mental health is a serious and important issue that affects millions of people around the world.
If you or someone you know is struggling with depression, anxiety, trauma, or have any other mental health conditions, you're not alone, and there is help available.
You don't have to suffer in silence or feel ashamed of your feelings.
There are many resources and support networks that can help you cope and heal.
Here are just a few.
The Crisis Text Line, which is a 24/7 service that connects you to trained crisis counselors who can help you with any type of emotional crisis. You can text HOME to 741-741 in the US or Canada, or 85258 in the UK, or 50808 in Ireland. You can also visit crisistextline.org for more information.
The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is a 24/7 service that provides free and confidential support for people in distress, as well as prevention and crisis resources. You can call them at 1-800-273-8255 or chat online at suicidepreventionlifeline.org.
The Headspace app, which is a meditation and mindfulness app that can help you reduce stress, improve your mood, and enhance your well-being. The app offers guided meditations, breathing exercises, sleep sounds, and other tools that can help you relax and cope with your emotions. You can download the app for free and try it for 10 days or subscribe for unlimited access to all features. You can find the app on the App Store or Google Play or visit headspace.com for more information.
These are just some of the resources that we have found helpful, but there are many more out there that can suit your needs or preferences. The most important thing is to reach out for help when you need it, and to know that you are not alone. Mental health is not a weakness, but a strength, and taking care of it is one of the best things you can do for yourself and your loved ones. Until next time,